So we make a short video on this markup and margin. Actually, this is, you should remember that markup margin thing. It is very important. Whether you are doing ACCA F2 or F3, F5, F7, F9, AFM, SBR, whichever paper you are doing, this markup margin you will face. So you should be very clear on this thing. Sometimes students, they get confused. I have explained this topic in more detail in, ACCA F3 incomplete records. So those who have ACCA F3, they can see it in incomplete record. Here I'm going to give an extra few minutes so that this one short, concept we separately discuss and then we share it with everyone. So I will show you 2, 3 techniques. One is the method which is given usually in your books, probably in F3 book also, it is shown like this. And this is, I will show you from the PowerPoint slides. And then there is another way of doing it in I will show it on Microsoft Excel. So 2, 3 styles, 2, 3 methods I will use to show you so that become clear on that. So we have 2 things. One is called margin and one is called markup. Okay. So let me write down here so that we don't have any confusion. You also have markup. Okay. So 2 things you will consider: markup and margin. So right now I'm showing you the margin. So margin, we say that a margin is where gross profit is expressed as a percentage of sales. So, sometimes you say my profit is 20%. So 20% of what? 20% of cost or 20% of the selling price, because these are 2 things. Let's suppose that if I say that my cost of some product is 1,000, and then probably I have my sales price. I don't know, maybe sales price could be 1,200. So if I say that 20% markup, it means that 20% taken on the cost price. Okay. When I say markup means a percentage on the cost price. When I say margin means a percentage calculated on the sales price. If I say 20% margin, it means that 1,200 multiplied by 20%. Okay. So for example, you come in and you say, how much profit do you charge? I say, I charge 20%. Your next question should be 20% markup or 20% margin. I mean, 20% is not enough. Okay. So in all of your questions, whichever book you are doing, whichever paper you are doing, whenever they mention profit, they say 20%, the company charges 25% or 20% or whatever. They must mention that 20% markup or 20% margin. Either they speak like this, or they speak like 20% on sales price or 20% on cost. If they say 20% on cost, it means that we are talking about markup. If they say 20% on sales price, we are talking about margin. So margin is where the profit is expressed as a percentage of sales. And you should remember this figure in your mind. The rule for this thing margin is that set sales price as 100%. So you put sales price as 100%. If your profit is 25%, then cost is 75%. So in this case of margin, sales price is the maximum limit. Okay. The maximum limit is the sales price, and sales price is 100%. Cost is below that. Cost might be 75% or 80%, whatever, but cost is less than 100%, because 100% is the maximum limit, and 100% it goes to selling price. Don't get worried. I will show you how it works. Okay. Just keep on seeing what I am explaining, keep on listening, and then I will make very good conclusion. So don't get panic. So sales is 100%. Cost is less than 100. In case of markup, what happens? The rule is that you set cost to 100%. So cost is now 100%. And the profit margin, if it is 25%, sales price is 125%. So in case of markup, cost plus profit. Cost is 100%. Then you add profit on the top. And selling price is more, which is one, if the profit is 25%, then selling price would be 125%. Now, how do we usually do it? Very quickly, I will show you here. For example, if I say that cost is, let's suppose my cost is $1,000 and I want to have my markup of 25%. So then selling price would be how much? Selling price would be, selling price should be 125%. 125% of cost. For example, you would say that selling price is equal to cost is 100 multiplied by 125 divided by 100. This is 125%. Or you can simply do 1.25. So your selling price will come. So it should be 1000. So 1000 multiplied by 1.25. Okay, so this is how it is shown in your books. I will just do two small examples here, and then I will take you to Excel and it will become more clear on Excel file. Okay, I will put some numbers and I will show you how to calculate it in another way. This is what I'm showing you. This is the way your book is showing. Okay, so I might not prefer this method, but some students like it because the book is showing like this. So if we see one question, for example, it says that cost of sales you have to find out. They told you that selling price, sales is 476 and gross margin is 40%. Now pay attention, 40% margin, which means 40% of the selling price. Okay, because it says margin, it means 40% of the selling price. Then how much is the cost? So how do you do that? You would make like this. You make the same figure which you made before. Because it is a case of margin, it means that selling price is 100%. Remember, in case of margin, we said that in case of margin, put sales as 100% and cost of sale will be less. So in this example, they have given us sales here, which is 476. This is 100%. 40% is margin. It means cost of sale should be 60%. 60% of this. Very simple. Let's do like this. We put the numbers here. Sales, which is 100%. Profit is 40%. Cost is 60. This 100% is 476. And because it is margin, so cost price is 60% of this number. Just take 60% of that, which is 285,600, and you get the answer. I mean, this is how you use this relationship. Okay. Now, I do not usually generally do it this way. I have another way of explanation, which I personally like more. That is with making some equation. Okay. Let me do like this. I'll share one Excel file and we will create some examples. I come here. Okay. And I put, first I say markup, and then I would say margin. Okay. And you know that markup means percentage on cost. Let me write down percentage on cost. And this is going to be, percentage on sales price. Okay. So we know that thing already. Now let's create some example and then we understand. Let's suppose if I tell you that you have been given that the cost price or the cost is whatever you call it cost, you call it cost price, whatever. Cost is $600 and your profit is 25%, but what? 25% markup. Okay. I call it markup because I'm considering the markup example here. So, and then they ask us how much is the sales price. This is what they ask us. This is the question. Now, always remember one simple equation. Equation, it goes like that. Sales price is equal to cost price plus profit. This is one equation you need to remember. It is not difficult. It makes sense. You know that. What is selling price? Selling price is always equal to cost price plus profit. That's all. And they're asking us selling price. So we assume that selling price is equal to X, let's suppose. So if I say selling price, I don't know it is X, I put X is equal to, or you can call it selling price. How much is cost? 600 plus profit. Profit is how much? 25%. 25% means 0.25. Okay. And now it is a case of markup. Markup means 25% of the cost price. Markup means percentage on cost, and cost is 600. So it means 0.25 into 600. And which means that X is equal to 600 plus 25% of 600 is 150, and therefore X is equal to 750. So your selling price comes out to be 750. Now let's suppose that you have, now that's easy, okay? It's not really difficult. Let's suppose that you have the same information, but you want to do it with margin. I changed some scenario. I'm putting the same information, like cost price is 600. Profit is 25%, but this time here it was markup. Now I'm assuming that it is margin, and you have to calculate sales price. So then what happens? We use the same equation. Equation will not change, and selling price we do not know. We call it X, and cost price is 600, and profit is 25% margin. Profit is 25% margin. Margin means percentage on the selling price, which means 0.25, not 600, but 0.25 multiplied by the selling price. And selling price, we do not know. Selling price was X. So we should write down here, if you pay attention, here I wrote down 25% of 600. Here I'm saying 25% of X. This time 25% of this number of selling price, because it is margin. So only this is the difference. There is no other difference. And then it will become, X, I would call it X minus 0.25X is equal to 600. Because we just bring this, 0.25 on the other side of the equation, it becomes 0.75X is equal to 600. And X is equal to 600 divided by 0.75. And then you can say that 600 divided by 0.75. So selling price becomes 800. Now this is the same data. Here the selling price was 750. Here the selling price becomes 800 because of the margin and markup. And I can prove it. Let's see if this answer is correct or not. What it says 25% of margin. Okay. Let's prove it if it is right or wrong. For example, my selling price, according to my calculation, selling price is 800. My profit is 25% margin. So it means that profit is equal to 800 into 25%. Okay, which means that profit is equal to 200. So if profit is 200, then cost is equal to selling price minus profit, which means that cost is equal to 800 minus 200, and which is equal to 600. You see, you come to the same answer, 600. You come to the same answer. I just quickly proved it mathematically that this answer is correct. Selling price is equal to 800. Profit 25% margin, so it means profit is 200. So if profit is 200, selling price is 800, so 800 minus 200, cost price comes out to be 600. And you can use the same method, you can use the same approach here as well, okay, if it is correct or not. Now this is one scenario. What I did in this case, I gave you the cost price and I asked you to calculate the selling price using the markup and margin. Now I'm going to use the same data, but will make some change. I will say that this is the sales price and you have to calculate the cost price. Okay. So I'm just changing the scenario, nothing different. I say here, I told you that selling price is 600. Now I'm saying that, I'm sorry, before I said cost price is 600. Now I'm saying that sales price is 600. Profit is 25%. How much is cost? Okay, now again, we will use the same equation. Okay, this is the second method I'm explaining. After that, I will give you another way of doing it also. But this is I mean, I want to make sure that you understand the logic, and then I will show you quick calculator tips. I will give you after quick calculator, how to do it on calculator very fast. Okay. So selling price is equal to cost price plus profit. Your sales price is, in this case, 600, and cost price we do not know. So this time cost price is X plus markup. Markup is 0.25. And because you are saying it markup, so it means 25% of the cost price. Okay. We are saying markup case. Markup means 25% of cost. And how much is cost? Cost we do not know. Cost is X. So it means 25% of X. So you say 600 is equal to 1.25X. And then X is equal to 600 divided by 1.25. And I would say that X is equal to 600 divided by 1.25. So my cost is 480. So if my selling price is 600 and there is a markup of 25%, my cost price will be 480. Now use the same thing. Use the same thing for doing it for margin thing. Here I will put margin, okay? And I will just remove this equation here. So here it was markup. Now I'm saying that selling price is 600 and there is a 25% margin. Find out the cost price. How do you do that? You will say selling price is 600 is equal to cost price I do not know, plus profit, which is 0.25, and profit is 25% margin. Margin means 25% of the selling price, and 25% of the selling price means 25% of 600. So it means that 600 is equal to X plus 150. And it means that X is equal to 600 minus 150. And you can say that X is equal to 450. So you see answers are different in each case, margin and markup. So I just did with you 4 examples, like markup, if cost price is given and you have to find out selling price, or if selling price is given and you have to find out the cost price. Or then with the same process we did with margin, like cost is given, find out sale price, or sale is given, find out cost price. Okay, now this thing very simple here. It was a little bit long explanation, but I just did it with mathematically. This is the approach of mathematician. Okay, this is how you do it in maths. This is 8th grade mathematics. How accountants they do it. How accountants do it. Let me show you that way. This is my title, how accountants do it. Imagine that you tell me that there is inventory of, I don't know, $10,000, or let's make it $15,000. Inventory is, because this is the type of question you use in your consolidation, etc. You use it a lot, okay? So you have inventory $15,000. There is 20% markup. In markup, how much was profit inside? Now I know that the value of inventory is 15,000, and it includes, this 15,000 includes the profit of 20%, and it is a case of markup. You have 2 ways of doing it. One way, the similar, like you say 15,000 is equal to cost plus 0.20 of cost, okay? And you would say 15,000 is equal to 1.2x, and then you would say x is equal to 15,000 divided by 1.2, just like I did here, the same way. It is the same example. This is the same example, okay? But now you should remember, in case of markup, divide with 1 plus profit percentage. That's all. That is all you need to do. For example, how much is that? 15,000 divided by 1 plus profit percentage, which means 1.2. That's all. All you need to do is 15,000 divided by 1.2. So 12,500 will be the cost. So this 12,500 will be cost. And of course, profit will be, you know, 15,000 minus 12,500. Profit will be 15,000 minus 12,500. Profit is 2,500. So what you should remember that you divide it with 1.2 in case of markup. When we are doing it with markup, if I say 20% or 10% or 5%, this is how you do it. Now, what I did here, I divided it with 1.2, and then I get cost. And then this cost minus the 15,000, you said 2,500. Can you also calculate this 2,500 directly? It is also possible that you do this number directly. See, when I said 15,000 divided by 1.2, it gave me the cost. And then I said cost 12,500 minus the selling price 15,000, and therefore the profit is 25. Can I calculate profit directly? Profit directly? Yes, answer is yes. How do I do that? That is, see here, the formula. Accountants, on calculator, you should say 15,000 multiplied by 20 divided by 120. This is I did. And let me put it here, and I put equals to sign, and you get 2,500 answer. So you just did it in calculator in one step. You don't need to do all of that long thing, okay? If I have to do it in a short way, this is how I can do. 15,000 into 20 divided by 120. Because why it is 20 by 120? Because profit percentage was 20%. If profit percentage was 25%, I would have said 15,000 into 25 divided by 125. Okay. I didn't say 15,000 into 25 because it is 20. I mean, if I had 20%, I would do it with 20. If I have 25, I will do 25. Now, you may ask, what is the logic for that? What is the logic for that? See here, I know that in case of markup, markup was what? 100% cost plus profit. So you have 100% cost plus 20% of X. Remember, X plus 20% of X. So it makes you 120X, something like this. So what I do here, I said 15,000 is a bigger number. It includes my profit, my cost, which is 100%, plus it includes 20% of profit. So actually, this 150,000, I divided into 120 parts, and then I multiply with 20 because profit is only 20. So you divide it with 120% and multiply it with just 20%. So when you divide it with 120, you get 1%. And then you multiply it with 20. This is the logic, okay? So 15,000 divided into 120 parts multiplied by 20 parts. You get the same number. So this is mostly, it is given in your consolidation questions, in your inventory question. They will tell you that you have inventory, which is, I don't know, 2.5 million. And there is markup, there is a profit, 15%, let's call it 15% markup. So how much profit is included? So what I do, I just say 2.5 million multiplied by 15 divided by 115. Okay, that's all. One simple step in your calculator, and you are done. You say that profit is, if it is 25 million, or what did I write? 25 or 2.5? Okay, yeah, 2.5 million. And how much is this? Profit is, 3.2 million profit inside if it is 15%. Okay, this is how you do it on calculator with markup. Now, if you have to do it with margin, uh, that is a different approach. In margin, you don't do anything. Margin is very simple. Let me write down. Margin is simple. If I tell you that you have inventory value valued, I don't know, $50,000, and profit is 20% margin, nothing you need, nothing, just 50,000 multiplied by 20%. That's all. Just that's all. Nothing else. If I tell you that you have goods worth 50,000 selling price and there is a 20% margin. So margin means percentage on the selling price, and selling price is given. In this case, why did it become complicated? Because they gave us the selling price 15,000, but profit is markup which is on cost, and cost we did not know, and therefore we were taking 20% of something we did not know, and it became a little bit complicated. But in case of margin, they tell us selling price is 50,000 and percentage is 20% margin, so it means that 20% of 50,000. So that's very simple, nothing confusing about it. So margin is simple. Markup takes a little bit of effort, but in your exams, you should remember that if you have sales value, okay? If you have sales value, there are two things. One is they give you cost value. If in case of markup, if they tell you that cost value is 15,000 and there is markup of 20%, okay? So very simple. How much would be profit? Because we know that cost value markup is a percentage on cost. So I would multiply these numbers here. And I would say my profit is 3,000, which means 20% of 15,000. The problem it comes when they tell you that sales value is 15,000. If they tell you that, let's suppose sales value is 20,000, and here they say markup of 20%. Now you cannot multiply these two numbers because markup has to be multiplied with cost, whereas this is given as selling price. So in this case, if I ask you how much is profit, you should say 20,000 multiplied by 20 divided by 120. You do it like this and you are done. That's all. So this is the easiest way of doing it. I explained it from the very beginning so that you understand the full background. Otherwise, I could have explained you in 5 minutes this ending thing, because this is what is going to help you. This part and this part. Okay, this is the only thing you need to know. But I explained it in a full manner so that you understand the logic. And you will be using this markup because when you are doing accounting and finance, you are always talking about profits, and profits are always markups and margins. So you need to understand what is markup, what is margin, how it is calculated. So I hope it will be helpful.